Welcome to the Tearfund Australia podcast. Over this series, we're having a fresh conversation about the future, faith, climate, and justice. We're talking to real people on the front lines of global challenges, from elders to next-gen leaders, local pastors, and global changemakers. We're asking the question, how do we live into an uncertain future with deeply rooted hope? This is Strong Roots, High Hopes.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Tearfund Australia podcast, where we're talking about strong roots and high hopes. My name's Matt, and I'm here with Adalia and Joel. How are we today?
Hello, I'm good. I've got my nice Chickadee coffee mug here, right here.
For those listening, Joel has a very cute, chick-themed coffee cup.
Being chicken-themed, not anything else.
Yeah, that's right. Baby chicken. Adalia, how
I'm
are
good,
you?
thank you.
That's good. It's great to be here.
Isn't it? So who are we chatting to today?
Today we're talking to Autalaga Tuialii. She's a young leader. She's a recent graduate student of a Bachelor of Arts and Bachelor of Global Studies. She's a first-generation Australian of Samoan descent, was born and raised in Brisbane and now lives in Canberra, traditional lands of the Ngunnawal and Ngambri peoples. Laga is also an alumni of Tearfund's Just Leadership Cohort. Let's get into it.
Great. In the words of our previous host, let's do it.
Let's do it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's so good to have you join us. To me, Samoan and Canberra are so far on the opposite ends of that scale. Yeah. But I can hear that there's no disdain there. There's love and there's an openness there to the cooler climates that we have across this country. So it's great. You're bringing the Samoan warmth into the conversation. This. Hey, can you tell us a little bit about your journey with Tearfund as well? You've been part of something called Just Leadership Cohort. Yes. Can you give us a little quick summary of what that's been like for you?
Yeah, well, I had the very honor and privilege to be a part of the first cohort last year, the Just Leadership Cohort 2025, also known as the JLC. And I was approached by a brother in Christ, Ben, shout out to Ben, who reached out about the opportunity. And it really came at a time where I was isolated, studying away from family in the city, in Brisbane. And I had prayed a prayer at the start of the year. Lord, I want to be close to you. How can I build that genuine relationship with you? And the Just Leadership Cohort kind of answered that prayer. And it's been such a blessing being able to journey that with 9 other young Christians around Australia. And just, really kind of gain that experience as well, that spiritual wisdom from Ben, from Sam as well as the brothers and sisters who were in there. And it really opened my eyes to how do I see Jesus in my everyday life, and not just on Sundays. So, a lot of unlearning from, kind of your more upbringing, and now to really having God in the center of my life. So, it's been amazing.
Beautiful. That's so good. It's a really exciting space to be working with young people across the country in issues of justice and biblical understanding of justice and poverty, learning from voices who are coming from different pieces in that perspective, people with lived community development experience in places around the world that are particularly impacted by those issues, people that have studied the Bible a lot and have some really unique things to share as well. But the chance to share the voices of young people and listen to each other and go on that journey together is such a privilege. So good that you could be part of that. Can you tell us a little bit about what you're doing with your time today, Laga?
Yeah, so I'm a part of a few initiatives. I've been very blessed. So one of the initiatives is the Saltwater Alliance, and we actually have a project going now. So the Saltwater Alliance is made up of 5 members of First Nations and Pacific diaspora leaders. And so our members are based in Queensland, in Sydney, in Canberra, and in Adelaide. And these sisters of mine I've met at a network, shout out to Pales as well, the Pacific Australian Emerging Leaders Network. And so we all wanted to come together and kind of, launch this project, the Culture Keepers, which is thinking about climate change in Australia, but also how do we kind of maintain our culture with that as well. So, the Saltwater Alliance Culture Keepers, as well as another initiative, the Pacific Youth Voice Australia, with my co-partner Gemma, which has been awesome. Again, really creating a safe space, but also a platform for our Pacific diaspora youths to voice whatever issues that they're facing, also having that platform to listen to their lived experiences. Because again, lived experiences tend to be overlooked, but those are the things that help shape us. So that's a platform that we're wanting to create, but also, again, having, a safe space for diaspora youths, because I feel like diaspora youths also need a voice, and they also have experiences that are valuable to society as well.
Yeah. Oh, amazing. Speaking of lived experiences, can you pinpoint or speak to maybe a moment or where you noticed for yourself in your own lived experience, some of these stirrings about storytelling, culture, climate start to emerge?
Yeah, I do have a few. So I think kind of backtracking to 3 years ago, when during my undergrad studies, I undertook an internship in Fiji with the Pacific Conference of Churches, and I undertook a research of the mental health impacts of climate impact villages, and that really, it was a transformative experience. It really opened my eyes to not only the reality and the harsh impacts of climate change that these villages are going through, but also that it is real. Like, this is happening. As someone who was born in Australia, as a Pacific diaspora, just being gaining that first-hand experience was a real exposure. And again, when I got back to Australia, it was like, how can I help? How can I live out those sustainable experiences and kind of lessen the harsh realities that they will have to face? Because again, what happens on the other side of the world, the impacts, it's like a ripple effect. We will feel it on the side, especially in the islands. But yeah, so I guess my internship in Fiji, but also last year when I participated in a climate dialogue hosted by UNICEF as well as other organizing partners. It kind of highlighted that, we talk about climate change, but there's no real discussion about spirituality. And again, as Pacific people, you'll find a lot of the Pacific Islands, we are rooted in our faith, and that question of when do we see climate change through biblical lens? It was absent. It was nowhere to be discussed or to be heard or to be voiced, and that kind of highlighted and really brought to my attention that how can we not talk about something that is so dear to us, that is so close to us, and it's connected. Again, they say that life is interconnected, and it's like, let's connect this. Why are we not connecting this? It's a big part. It was a big absence in the agenda, and so that kind of I kind of went on my own journey, as well as my sisters now in the Saltwater Alliance and launching the Culture Keepers and really filling that gap, but also sharing it with community. So it's been so awesome.
Oh, wow. Some amazing lived experiences there, and a chance to connect with others in their own experiences too. What are some of the things that maybe have helped shape your perspective to be holistic as you look at issues like climate change? And do you feel that there is a balance across maybe the cultural and the scientific and the biblical? Can you speak to how you've had those things kind of like shape over time?
Yeah, I think one of the things that have really shaped, the more biblical kind of lens of looking at climate change is the life group that I go to every Monday night. So a part of the church that I go to, Life UC, there is a women's life group, and I've been very blessed to be in a part of it since the end of last year. And that has really helped me kind of raise questions and curiosity as well as to, okay, so how do we see climate change through biblical lens, or what does the Bible say about climate change? And Pastor Katie, she shared that, in Psalms 104, and it talks about the wonders of creations and really kind of stirred me to look at climate change. Like we're not just caretakers, of the world. We also need to steward this. And so, I've also been reflecting on my own actions. What am I doing to limit the impacts of climate change? So, I guess kind of the life group, that's been a really pivotal kind of space and kind of environment for me to think about climate change in biblical lens. I think another moment with with culture is how are we balancing climate change with culture? Things that are perhaps of culture but are impacting our environment, and how can we sustain that and prevent that, and I guess kind of modify that. I guess everything's is really intertwined.
When you're in that space in the context of a church life group, or maybe with other members of your diaspora community, I imagine people are coming in with their own experiences and opinions and perspectives. How have you learnt to enter into those spaces where there might be differences of opinions and maybe quite divisive things going forward?
A lot of grace, listening, really actively listening, but also going back to the Bible and understanding, I guess even doing my own Bible study and researching, so what does the Bible say about this? And I guess being surrounded by mature Christians and going to your more the elders in the community as well, and seeking their spiritual advice. I've been very blessed to cross paths with a few kind of pastors, but who are also academics. So anytime I cross paths, I try and seek out wisdom and what's their knowledge about it. But again, I think really asking the Lord for it and really going through the Bible, because again, there's answers to everything in there. But just pretty much having my own Bible study and being curious with the Lord, and Lord placed, fill this gap of knowledge, or also place the wisdom of my heart and even strength to find what do you say about this, rather than just Googling it.
Yeah, wow. That's something we can all take, I think. So grace, curiosity, listening, prayer. That's all good stuff. Thank you. So do you find that there's a particular tension between Pacifica and Western worldviews when it comes to something like climate change?
I think there is. I think with the greed of the world and everyone wanting power, obviously with the Western, who are very first, developed nations, but also the kind of leaders of global power, and again with the imbalance of the islands, and again authority, we do not hold much, but again I guess spiritually we are, we hold a lot of as they would say in the islands, a lot of mana, which is power, and a lot of faith. Perhaps we're not, I know from the Western, perhaps we're used as kind of their pawns in their ideas, or in their games, or in their plans. But there is a lot of tension. I think when we do, again, historically, climate change, and I think about the Pacific Island students fighting climate change, the USP students in Vanuatu who have gone to the International Court of Justice. We do have a voice, and the tension is that They may not want to listen to us, but again, we're not going to give up. We're going to keep fighting. And I think if we rally together, if we really unite, rooted in Christ, but also rooted together in unity, we can continue to voice that. I guess strength together. The other side of the world will hear what we have to say, and we'll follow along. But again, I think being rooted in Christ and really having, prayer, and even just that whole fellowship together will really get us over the line.
So thinking about some of those neighbours across the Pacific and Australia. You've spent some time in Fiji, researching the mental health impacts of climate change and having the chance to hear directly from people who are most impacted. Can you tell us some of the things you heard in those conversations?
Yeah, it's really one to read about it, but then to really listen, sit there with them, in their kind of safe space, in their comfort, in their environment. I think one of the things that I learned is that the villagers really find happiness in simplicity. The simple things as just having a roof over your head and having, just a door to kind of have that, privacy, just 4 walls as well. Just the things that we take for granted is that that's all they care about. And that's all they matter. They really find happiness in the simple things. I think one of the things, even one of the villages that I went to, so it was Tomoru, they're on the coastal line of Fiji, who have really impacted, there's a lot of going through coastal erosions and sea level rise, so they're having to relocate back and back and back. And a lot of the time when I did question them, would you be happy relocating and elsewhere off the coast? And they said that this is our family land, this is all we have, this is all they, and it was really interesting because, again, when I think about family land being as a Pacific diaspora, it's like, again, I think I'm a visitor here on Indigenous land. And for them, it's like everything they have, it's all they had to their name. And so I do understand, it's family history, it's ancestral land, and they are wanting, headman Barney Dunn he is wanting to pass his leadership roles onto his son. And so, it was really tough. It was really tough to listen and to hear, trying not to get emotional as well when I'm trying to interview and trying to balance that. Okay, let's keep it professional. But many tears were shed. And I know even looking at my notepad, there was a lot of smudge writing by the end. And my tears just, covered that whole thing. But it was a transformative experience as well, and one that I'll never forget. So I continue to think about it every day.
Do you have a sense of how people felt about the future as they looked ahead? How easy is it for a community in that context to feel hope for the future?
I think it was quite easy, because again they were faithful. Like they already had their own faith, fellow Christians as well, and I even shared with them. It's like, I don't know how. I mean, again, we do serve a loving and gracious God, but for them to have so much hope and so much faith, even even the local church was gone. And it's like, wow, you guys are still gathering, just evening gathering, daily devotions once the sun goes down. And again, in these villages, they rely on the sun as their source of light. And their power as well. There was no power, there was no solar. So whatever they were going out to fish daily. And so fresh food was made, and there was no place to store leftovers, and just all the things that we have here in Australia that we, take for granted, perhaps maybe not for others, but just the simple things of life, they cherish that, and they're fine with it. That's their source of happiness, and they're happy to live on like that.
So we often hear about young people in Australia and around the world experiencing climate anxiety. Looking ahead to the future, feeling pretty uncertain, and that really impacting them. That can feel quite paralysing and overwhelming. From your perspective and what you're hearing from your peers and others, what is climate anxiety something that you would say is a reality for lots of young people, and how might we move towards something that looks more like climate courage?
Well, yes, I think it is. I think it's 50-50. I think it's half of youth who are experiencing climate anxiety, but then also the other half who are experiencing climate unawareness. And I guess it's initiatives like the one I'm a part of, Saltwater Alliance, but also the Culture Keepers Project is really amplifying this issue, this such important issue. Again, with the Sydney activation, it really reflected youths who wanted to show up and who wanted to kind of share their initiatives as well. We had the clothes swap as well from the Pacific Women's Collective. One of the other girls who were the trash fish, using recyclable materials to make, it was the key rings, and then even just learning how to read energy bills and kind of pot plants as well, making your own pot plants, and even turning old kind of materials into tote bags, into little phone cases. So there was a lot of people who really cared about climate anxiety and who wanted to shape climate into a more fun kind of lens as well, and a fun way that are attractable to our youths. I think the other half who perhaps know that climate is an issue, but again, I've crossed paths with youths who think it's a hoax, which it was a bit upsetting. But again, it was an opportunity for me to kind of shed some light into it and help them understand, and just sit with them and just listen. Okay, why do you think that is? And what the thinking that has helped shape them, and kind of get them to unlearn some things, but also relearning things about climate change. I think when I think about climate courage, again, it's these initiatives, it's these community events that need to happen. It's as simple as, hey, did you want to learn something new, or really meeting people where they're at, and not just come to us, and just walking with them and sitting with them, and really building that kind of rapport, but also a genuine connection in a relationship. When I think about climate courage, again, I think another thing is that, these youths who, especially from the islands, where we have a lot of international students coming for study, or even someone as a country like Tuvalu, who has a Whalepili treaty with Australia, a climate treaty for migration. And we have families here now, and God bless them, and, their journey as well. But again, they carry some real lived experiences, some knowledge that can be shared. And if, I guess kind of creating space for that dialogue, or as we say in the islands as talanoa, and just kind of amplifying their stories and their voices to youths who are not, perhaps again, are unaware of climate change, because it could easily be us, in that position, and having that kind of empathy and building upon that. So yeah, there's a bit of climate courage, but again, I think it takes, a community, a united front to really push for that.
Do you ever feel anxious yourself or overwhelmed being so exposed and present with this stuff? Yeah. And what do you do in those moments?
Yeah, I actually... it's been a journey. I have, I think, obviously, like social media, I have kind of stepped back and, try not to get emotional, but I've been very blessed to be in both spaces. I've grown up very, with a lot of these privileges, and, Australia, we're not on the front line of sea level rise. I don't have to wake up in the morning and think, oh no, like we're gonna have to relocate, like we're stable here. But I think when the experience that I've been able to go to the islands, and even to meet youth from across the islands, and hear their stories, it's like, again, like, I don't know what can I do? How can I help? And a lot of sympathy, that has been built, a lot of storytelling, and yeah, I definitely felt my own share, and I want to share that with other people. I want to bring in youths, and, I felt the same way. I know where you've been, and I've been there. And again, I think if we listen to these climates, these people that are going through the reality of climate change, if we listen to their stories rather than just kind of feeding into social media and your more misinformation and your just the information, again, I know it can be a whole, compassion fatigue, as, Tearfund does share that, because I was going through it, and I'm grateful that, I asked the Lord for strength and use me as a tool, use me where can I be a voice, or where can I be, kind of an ally to these people, but also they're in the Pacific, they're our neighbors, and, as in the Bible, it says to love your neighbor, and going through the spiritual wisdom, sharing that with youths as well, because I know, climate anxiety and climate anxiousness, it is real, but it can be overcome. It's not impossible. And so, with a lot of kind of grace, but also active listening, and wanting to learn and build connections, because again, this is a battle that we can all overcome, and I think it takes me back to, we're not just owners of our possessions or owners of our lives. We're also caretakers as well. And so let's kind of steward towards that. Let's be stewards of creation, as it says in the Bible, and caretake for God's creation and God's people and God's children.
So for someone who might be listening to this, maybe they're a young person or maybe they're from an older generation and they are thinking about how they might connect and listen, what would be some steps that you could suggest people could take today to move forward in some of what we've talked about?
Yeah, I think it's a bit cliche, but just taking the leap of faith, really. I think I was once in that kind of moment prior to JLC, actually, from last year, where I was in that kind of vision of Pacific to the world. And it's like after JLC, it was God's children united. And it's like, we're all one, at the end of the day. Again, I think just, to really kind of emphasize and re-highlight just understanding as well. I mean, it's more of an issue, or more of a saying now, that we're all living our first life. And so we all have knowledge, that, we all have knowledge that is needed to be shared. But again, just making time for each other and coming with the heart that is not so stubborn, or, that is not, I'm not above you, we're together, we're side by side. And it's, don't think about status, don't think about hierarchy. And it's like, you're an elder, you're a young person, we're together in God's eyes, we're one.
We hope you're enjoying this episode. Right now, there's a community of over 2,400 Australians using everyday generosity to tackle the root causes of poverty. They're called Restorers, and they partner with Tearfund through monthly giving. Because real transformation takes time and perseverance, giving monthly is what puts hope and justice on repeat. It provides the steady, reliable fuel needed to break the cycle of poverty for good, backing the vital work of over 40 local partners worldwide. It's just everyday people chipping in month by month, so injustice doesn't have the last word. Search Tearfund Restorers or check out the link in our show notes to join them.
We're together in God's eyes, we are one. That's a beautiful note on unity to end on. Great conversation with Laga. What were you guys' thoughts?
I really like Laga. She's funny. She's great.
She's good.
Yeah. I enjoyed listening and hearing. In some ways this relates a lot to you guys because she's your age and she's talking about her experiences, both the people that she connects with and then the people that she went and connected with in the islands and the interviews that she did and connecting with them. Like that was really profound for me, I think, to hear how she talked a lot at the start about kind of the realization of, this is real. Like this is not just the thing that climate change and issues around it. This is not just an intellectual thing that we talk about. It's not even just, she talks about it as a faith thing and talks about kind of there's been a bit of a separation for her. Pacific Islander culture has not connected this to faith is what she was saying, which I found really interesting. But just that it became so real for her because she sat with the people experiencing it and heard their stories. I think that has a lot to say for us and for many of not many, but the people we connect with who are like, no, this is all just a hoax, this is whatever. I often wonder what's the thing that changes people. And because I don't think it's us just providing information about climate change and data and this is happening and this is happening, but for her, and I wonder if for us and for listeners as well, like I think it's really an important thing to think about is the people we choose to sit with, truly listen to their story, even when their story bucks up against our own perspective of life, whatever that might be. That's when this stuff becomes real. So I really appreciated that about this episode.
Yeah, that's so good. The point on listening, I think it's going to be a bit of a theme across our whole series is how important it is to listen at like every stage of kind of our journey and growing our roots and building our hopes is listening to these people in circumstances other than ourselves, listening to older people. I think she also mentioned kind of that positive influence that she's had from pastors and academics and elders, and how that's been really formational for her in kind of navigating intergenerational dialogue and engaging in church community really authentically and kind of with her whole self, along with the knowledge that her community is holding.
And I also, leaning to what you said, I like the fact that she said we're all living our first life. It's not like we've got a ton of experience living multiple lives. We're doing this for the first time, right? And I suppose maybe as younger people, what would it look like when it comes to seeking wisdom? Colossians 4:6, I was just reminded about this, talks about speech being seasoned with salt. And in the ancient world, salt was a preservative, right? So grace-filled conversation preserves relationships from rotting into sort of bitterness. And how are we seeking knowledge? Are we really thirsty for that kind of knowledge? Are we just very stubborn about what we know? Because personally, from my end, if I want information, even if I'm thirsty for information, I'll probably get on like ChatGPT or like Gemini and just rot my brain typing, okay, what's happening here? But there's something about talking to people and talking to, within these whole intergenerational conversations that I suppose I have now when I'm talking to you as an experienced adult. There's something I get from it, yeah. So I really like the fact that she highlights that it's not just about, okay, I know it all, I can find the information, but how can I share that with you? That's something that really stood out for me.
And the connection that I think that you get from doing that kind of then also cultivates the community as well, like in trying to understand how to grow community and how to cultivate it by listening to people. You're actually doing it while you're learning about it.
Yeah.
I thought that was really cool as well.
Yeah. And I wonder if it's our antidote to I'm thinking like of the binaries that we talked about in our first episode. Like it could be, what if truly listening and that empathetic human listening, the lived experience, finding knowledge through conversation is the antidote to the polarity that our social media world brings us into, because social media forces people into hearing the same messages from the same people in the tribe they already are a part of, and kind of splits us into two. And I wonder if because of that, we're never really hearing the human truth, lived experience, wisdom-filled lived experience. We just kind of, as you said, either go to AI, right? Yeah. Or in our social media, we just stay in we're kind of forced because of the algorithm to stay in our social media bubble. And that just teaches us nothing.
So Laga has this kind of beautiful lifestyle of kind of stepping into grassroots, like very everyday achievable action. It's when it comes to like both working on climate change and how we can care for country better, but also how we can cultivate community more. Like I think some of the things she said were like her life group has been one of the most formational things. Like I think a lot of people are in life groups. It's not like to be involved with this, you don't have to be part of like big programs or organized things. It's kind of like your everyday activities can actually be channeled into action for justice and climate. Yeah, what did you guys think on that?
I think from my end, when it comes to action, it's most often it becomes a very awkward space. You don't really know, okay, how can I take action? Is it just enough if I repost something I see on social media on my Instagram account? Is that action?
Done my advocacy. I've put remember we had the buttons.
Done my part. Is that action? Have I or is action like Laga did, a life group, or is it actually going for some conference and talking about something big and holding signboards and protesting? Is that action? And I feel like society has stereotyped action to be something that is expected of us. But I suppose your best to to raise awareness or your best to take action on something that has been raised. I think that's the change we're looking at. That's a change. That's where we want to probably start. So it could be, I think, it could be live group like Laga. It could be your social media post. It could be...
She was talking about clothes swaps and that kind of stuff as well.
What do you mean clothes?
She was talking about clothes swaps within it, about doing clothing swapping, like all of the little like the little activities. Yeah.
So I suppose that's something I could probably give into this conversation.
And I like that point on social media and like standing with a sign, because it's like maybe because that's what we see in the media and that's what we see other people doing, we think that action needs to be something that you can see, and it's like this big, borderline performative activity, when maybe it can just be like the little changes I'm making every day, like only buying secondhand clothes, or those little things that make actually a big difference or that add up to make a big difference without necessarily looking that impressive.
Yeah, I'm thinking about, in hearing this and in hearing her, like she talked a lot about climate anxiety, right? And the emotional toll of the overwhelm of our world and the climate reality. And I wonder if these small actions, they give us, I'm just thinking that like our actions and the way we engage in this world, for some of us, it can come out of that anxiety. Like our anxiety can lead to, I need to do something about this, but I don't know if that brings a sustainable amount of, I can do this, I can do this, I can do that, rather than I've got to do something, maybe I'll just do this. And then when the anxiety is lessened because of whatever, distractions in life, then it just kind of falls to the wayside. So I'm wondering if like there's action that stems out of anxiety. I wonder if there's action that stems out of hope too. And that kind of is a different form of action and maybe a more sustainable long term, even if it is the small things in our lives. Doesn't have to be massive things, but to maybe it's a challenge for me, a challenge for all of us, a challenge maybe for your younger generation, just saying, that does feel the overwhelm and the anxiety to go, actually, I need my actions to come out of something deeper and richer, out of the kingdom of hope, out of what could be, rather than the anxiety of what I'm seeing right now. Does that make sense, that difference?
Yeah. Go for it.
Like, let's take action. Let's not, otherwise it's kind of reaction. Like taking intentional steps based on our knowledge rather than like just reactionary things that we do in response to maybe our feelings. Like our feelings of anxiety makes us do this thing, then our anxiety is kind of assuaged and then we kind of move on with our lives. What does it look like to actually just have a long-term everyday like lower emotion level kind of action? Like,
nice.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point.
And I also think it's important for us to know where this anxiety is coming from. Is it just social media, or is it because, so let's say during my parents' time or my parents' time, they might have not had to face this level of the consequence of climate change. So for them, it was probably, they know when the rains are coming, they know when the wind is coming, they know when to harvest. But it isn't really the case with us right now. You don't know when the monsoons are, you don't know when the rain's coming. It's very unpredictable. So we don't know if, or I suppose maybe that's where this anxiety is stemming from. And where does anxiety end and where does hope start? For us to look forward to hope and put anxiety aside. And I think that's something that we might want to focus on as the younger generation, to calculate or plant that seed of hope, as opposed to sit in anxiety and let our decisions be influenced by that anxiety. Yeah,
it's really good. And I think that what you're noting maybe as well is it was more of a localized form of anxiety too. It was the when are the rains coming, that kind of idea. In our globalized world, you can doom scroll for 10 minutes and you can be hit with like 50 different massive worldwide issues that are happening. All that's going to lead to is anxiety, right? Because there's no way you're getting even to to the root cause of any of these issues when you're just splashed with this is wrong and this is wrong and this is wrong and this is wrong and this is wrong. So no wonder it's like anxious. And maybe our way out of it is even the small choice to not doom scroll, to move away from that as much as we can and say, actually, I'm passionate about this one issue, right? I'm just thinking of a friend who is really passionate about slow fashion and about the craft of design and fashion and how we've moved away from that and all the fast fashion that happens, just to give ourselves to one thing and say, all right, I'm going to go hard at this thing. And yes, there's all the issues in the world, but if I can make a difference in this one area and give my research and my heart and my focus to that, I suppose that's what I do with my poetry. Like, it's focusing in on using one particular kind of area, one particular life, one particular skill to try to bring change. I wonder, maybe again, a challenge for our audience, for our listeners, what's the one thing, instead of being overwhelmed by the everything, what's the one thing that you are passionate about, where I'm thinking Frederick Buechner, who says your vocation should be where the world's deep hunger and your deep gladness collide, where they intersect. What's that one point that would stem out to the rest?
And I think Laga is setting a great example of like finding that thing. And I think she said as well that she stepped away from social media, doesn't find it helpful anymore. Yeah, find your one thing, work for it in a long obedience in the same direction. I don't know if you've heard that phrase. Great experience to listen to Laga. Such a warm, friendly, lovely personality. Next week, we're moving on to our next guest. His name is Graeme Anderson, Pastor Graeme Anderson. We're going to be tackling a big question for modern Christians. What happens when our desire to change things collides with our addiction to immediate satisfaction? We're sitting down with Pastor Graeme Anderson, who's going to look us in the eye and challenge the frantic performance mindset of the modern church, introducing us to a concept that might just save you from burnout. We're talking about the discipline of silence and learning to bear the long, slow growth of the fields. Well, thanks for being with us today. Thank you for listening.
Thank you.
Catch you next week.
Sounds good.
Yeah. This episode was recorded on the lands of the Wurundjeri people. We pay our respect to their elders, past and present, and hope that the stories we share here can honor theirs. If you've enjoyed this episode, please like, follow, and share to continue this conversation. Tearfund Australia is a movement of Christians working in partnership to end poverty and tackle injustice. Learn more at tearfund.org.au.